Hello there. This is a series, or whatever you call it, in which I read books. Um, and today I found this book, The Alchemist, and it looks like a very good book. So I'm just going to start reading it. And it looks pretty interesting, and I hope the viewers watching the video, I hope you do enjoy me reading it, and that you enjoy this book, The Alchemist. This is it. This is The Alchemist by... The name is written below. It's Panlo Coelho, or however you pronounce it. I don't actually know how to pronounce the word. Alright, so I'm just gonna start reading it. And that's basically what this is gonna be about. This is what the video is gonna be about. Preface. I'd like to say something to explain why The Alchemist is a symbolic book. Whereas The Pilgrimage was a work of non-fiction. For 11 years of my life I studied alchemy, the very idea of transforming metals into gold, or discovering the elixir of life. I wonder what that is, the elixir of life. It was too fascinating to pass unnoticed by someone coming face to face with magic for the first time. I confess that the elixir of life was what attracted me most. Before I heard and felt the presence of God, the idea of everything one day coming to an end used to drive me to despair, so when I learned of the possibility of finding a liquid that could prolong my life by many years, I decided to dedicate myself, body, and soul to making it. Okay, a very interesting start, to be honest. A very good start. And how many pages is this? It's about... Let me just... Damn. That's a lot of pages. There was about 177 pages, I think. After 177, yeah. About 177 pages. Approximately. Alright, so, those were times in the early 70s of great social upheaval, and no serious works on alchemy had been published in Brazil. Like the two characters in the book. I started to spend what little money I had on buying imported books, and devoted many hours every day to studying their complicated symbolism. I tracked down 2 or 3 people in Rio de Janeiro who were seriously involved in the masterwork, but they refused. Alright. They refused to see me. I met many others who called themselves alchemists, people who had their own laboratories, and promised to teach me the secrets of the art in exchange for absolute fortunes. Today I realize that they knew nothing about what they pretended to teach. All my efforts were in vain. Nothing happened. None of these events were reported in the published texts on alchemy, books written in such impenetrable language full of symbols, dragons, lions, suns, moons, and quicksilver. The symbolism allowed such a wide range of uncertainty that I always felt I was following the wrong path. In 1973, desperate at my failure to make any progress, I committed a supremely irresponsible act. At the time, I was working for the state, giving lectures and drama, and I decided to set my students exercises relating to the Emerald Tablet. Okay, so it's been like 4 minutes, and it's a very good read. I mean, I'm enjoying reading this. I hope the viewers of the video are also enjoying it. The book name is The Alchemist, right, written by this dude, The Alchemist. It's a very good book. I mean, I've just read the first page and I'm so interested. This action and other incursions into the Mercurier areas, right, I don't know how to pronounce that. Into the murkier areas of magic in the following year, it led me to experience in flesh and blood. The truth of the proverb, as you sow, so shall you reap. My whole life was in ruins. For the next 6 years, I was quite skeptical about anything to do with mysticism. During this time in spiritual exile, I learned many important things. Where is it? Yeah, that we only accept the truth after we first we have first wholeheartedly rejected it, that we mustn't run away from our own destiny, and that the hand of God is firm but infinitely generous. In 1981, I met Ram and my teacher, who led me back to the road I am destined to travel, and as he introduced me to his beliefs, I've been back to studying alchemy on my own. We were talking one night after a long telepathic session, and I asked him why alchemists always use such vague, complicated language. My teacher said, there are three types of alchemists. Those who are vague because they don't know what they're doing. Those who are vague because they do know what they're doing, but who also know that the language of alchemy is addressed to the heart and not to the mind. And the third type, those who will never hear about alchemy, but who will succeed through the lives they lead in discovering the philosopher's stone. Wow, this sounds like magic. What do you think? And with this, my teacher, who belonged to the second category, agreed to give me lessons in alchemy. I discovered that the symbolic language which so annoyed and confused me was the only way to reach the soul of the world, or what Jung called the collective unconsciousness. Wow. I discovered the personal legend and the signs of God, truths which my rational mind had refused to accept because of their simplicity. I discovered that carrying out the master work is not the work of a few, but of every human being on the face of the earth. And that while, of course, the master work will not always reveal itself to us in the form of an egg or in a jar of liquid. Yeah, so it's pretty interesting until now. I mean, that is why The Alchemist here is a symbolic text. In the course of the book, I pass on everything I've learned. I've also tried to pay homage to great writers who managed to achieve the universal language. Hemingway, Blake, Borges, who also used Persian history in one of his short stories, Malba, Tehan, among others. To conclude this long preface and illustrate what my teacher wanted to say regarding the third type of alchemist, it is worth recalling a story he told me himself in a laboratory. Our Lady, with the baby Jesus in her arms, decided to come down to earth and visit a monastery. The monks proudly joined in a long queue, and each of them came before the Virgin to render their homage. One declaimed beautiful poetry, another showed his illuminated paintings of biblical subjects. A third repeated the names of all the saints, and so on, one monk after the other, praising Our Lady and the baby Jesus. The last monk of all, there was the humblest in the whole monastery, who had never studied the learned books of the time. His parents were simple people who worked in an old traveling circus, and all they had taught him was to throw balls into the air and juggle with them. When it was his turn, the other members of the order wanted to bring the homage to a conclusion, since the old juggler would have nothing important to say and might lower the image of the monastery. But in the bottom of his heart, he also felt a burning need to give something of himself to Jesus and the Virgin. Ashamed, conscious of the disapproving looks of his brothers, he took a few oranges from his bag and started to juggle them in the air, saying that juggling was all he knew how to do. It was at that moment that the baby Jesus sitting on Our Lady's lap smiled and started to clap his hands, and the Virgin reached out her arms, inviting him to hold the baby. And this is page number 9. This is the page number 9 of preface. So this is, I think we just finished the preface, and after this, the real story starts, which is known as part 1. So this is where we left, where we're leaving it right now, part 1, and I've just read it till here. We finished the preface. This is page number 9 of the preface. Yes, it is. So I hope you enjoyed this video and this book, and have a very nice day. That's it. Have a nice day.